Hello everybody,
Hello,
welcome to
everyone.
the South Florida Power BI User Group Worldwide Presentation Series, where we are honored to bring you presenters from around the world. My name is Adriano and I'm your host for today's event. Before we start, I have to remind you to please take a minute to subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, and like the video. Now, if you're a subscriber and are watching right now, real time, we ask of you to use the live chat to enter your questions. And as well as, why don't we start off by you entering right now your location. On the other hand, if you're watching this video as a recording, use the comment section below this video to enter your location as well as your question and comments, and we will follow up with you. Now, without further delay, today's session is using Power BI with PowerApps for powerful data solutions, which is presented by none other than Mara Pereira. Hello, Mara.
Hi, Adriano. How are you today?
Well, thank you. And thank you very much for joining us all here at the South Florida Power BI user group.
It's
And
my pleasure.
thank you. And I see that we have a very exciting presentation today. Can you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Yes, sure. So today we are going to talk about how you can integrate Power Apps in your Power BI reports. And also, depending on the time, but hopefully we will also talk a little bit about Power Automate and how you can build business process workflows, automated business process workflows, so that you can also improve your Power BI reporting solution.
Very cool. And I know you'll talk more about it during the session as well. And can you tell us a bit about yourself as well?
My name is Mara, as you all know already. I've been working with Power BI for the past 5 years, I think now. I'm originally from Portugal, but I will get to there when I show you the slides later. And right now I'm working at Microsoft as a cloud solution architect, mainly focused on Power BI and Azure. So.
Very exciting. Very cool there. So, and also you are in, where is your office located at? Or you're located at?
Right now at home,
Not in
unfortunately.
London, right? I believe.
Yeah, it's in Reading. Yeah, it's near London. Yeah.
All right. And let's take a look here. We have also attendees here from, hey, Christian, thank you, from Romania. We have Safir from Germany. We have Roman from Belarus.
Belarus.
Fernando, and we have Polly. Hello, Polly, from Miami.
Oh.
And Darren from Dublin. Hello, everybody there. Thank you all very much for being here with us. And if anyone is just joining, please remember use the live chat to ask any questions, comments, suggestions. Say hello to everybody else as well. And also, folks, please remember also in the comment section below, please do drop a comment. And also, if you're not watching real time, enter your location as well as any questions you may have, and also comment on the video. And remember to like it. All right. All right. Are you ready, Mara? Any questions, comments, suggestions?
I think I'm ready.
All right. Now, let's just take a final look here. Yeah, we have also Adam from, there we go, write down your area from potentially near your area, which is Bristol in the United Kingdom.
Not that near, I think. I'm not very good with UK geography.
Okay. We also have Said from this side of the pond from New Jersey. And that's it. All right. So it's all you, Mara. Let's kick off with you there.
Okay, thank you, Adriano. I'm just going to share my screen then. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
It's showing Power BI, I hope.
Yes.
Service. Okay. So let me just go get my presentation. So can you see my slides now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, good. So as you already introduced before, today we are going to talk about how you can integrate Power BI or Power Apps in your Power BI reports. And again, maybe if you have time at the end, hopefully we will have time at the end to also do some little tricks with Power Automate and build an approval workflow for our reports. But before we actually start going to the demo, because I'm going to do everything through a demo, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit better. So I'm going to show you, okay, where I'm from. As I told you before in the beginning of this session, I'm from Portugal. Because we have a lot of people from different countries here. Probably you know this guy. This guy is Portuguese, very young. So I think it's always like a reference point for everyone. So I thought it would be nice to have him here. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, by the way. And I used to live in a farm when I was a kid, when I was a little girl, and I lived there for quite some time. I graduated in Portugal too. My background is in mechanical engineering. I know it's a bit weird how I ended up in data, and also in my free time. I love to travel. This is just a few of the flags of the places I've traveled to. Right now, I'm living in UK, but I also lived in other countries, like I have there. Brazil and Poland. So I already lived in a lot of different places, and also a little bit about my work path or history. So I started as a mechanical engineer, actually. That's like my background again. Then I started to go a little bit for the data analysis path. That's when I actually started as a data analyst here, even though I worked with Power BI already a bit before at Bosch. And then I moved to the UK and I worked as a Power Platform consultant at a consultancy company called Altius. They are now Avanade, if I'm not wrong. And before I joined Microsoft, I was also working at Kibi as a senior data analyst previously. And as you all know now, I'm working at Microsoft as a cloud solutions architect now, focused on mainly Power BI and Azure solutions. So this is me. Before we actually go to the demo, I also wanted to show you this. If you follow my blog, you probably have seen this quite a lot now, this flowchart. And the reason I want to show you this is just because, again, we have like a different people here in the audience, and I'm not sure which is your level of Power BI, if you're advanced, if you're still taking your first steps. So I figured this would be like a nice introduction. So this is kind of the workflow, like a basic workflow for report development in Power BI. So there are four main steps. You analyze your data and build your data model. You do your report design. You prepare to share your report. And then finally, you share your report with your colleagues. And of course, under all of this, that is governance and admin that you always need to think carefully about. And then you also have all these tools that you can use with Power BI, like the ones we are going to talk about today, like Power Automate, PowerApps. You can also use the integrations with Teams, cognitive services, Azure machine learning, and so on. So again, because I wanted to give a little bit of context here, this is what we are going to talk about today. And just again, as a context, because we have all these little steps here, this kind of integrations I would usually do after the report design, because I think you probably need to build your entire data model first before you actually think about how you're going to build your app. At least that's how I usually do it. Like I said, I'm focused on Power BI mostly. I don't usually do Power Apps by themselves or flows in Power Automate. I always use them in integration with Power BI, and that's usually where I start really thinking about building my app, is probably here at the end of the report design stage. Okay, So a little overview about Power BI integration with Power Apps. So here in this little video here, it gives you an example of an app that I created. You will see the app that we are going to build is pretty much the same as this one. And you're probably asking, if you don't know Power Apps, you're probably asking, okay, but what does that do exactly? And it does exactly what we've talked about. It can basically, with Power Apps, you can basically write back to your database. That is something that Power BI alone can't do, because Power BI is a visualization tool and allows you to visualize your data, but it doesn't allow you to write back. So if you want to, for example, change your data directly from your report, you can't really do that unless you take advantage of the integrations like PowerApps that will allow you to do this. As you can see here, I can change the price here directly. And if this works, let's see. Okay, am I going to submit? Yes. Okay, but as you can see, it's very interactive. They work really well together, the integration between the two and the interactivity. If you select, for example, anything from a slicer to a category in a chart, everything will be filtered in your app too, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to show you how it can do that. So what about Power Automate? So Power Automate, like I said before too, is basically a business process automation tool. And it allows you to build like scheduled, automated or instant flows. And you can have like use a template if you're not really familiar with Power Automate. The templates are really, really cool if you want to start using it but don't know exactly how. Gives you a lot of cool ideas, like trigger a flow with a Power BI data-driven alert, send emails automatically, update Power BI datasets. When you add a SharePoint file or when a SharePoint file is updated, it's like there is loads of different templates. I will show you later some of those templates. And the kind of things that you can do, the kind of integrations you can have between Power BI and Power Automate allows you to do stuff like set up custom data alerts, data-driven alerts. If you know data-driven alerts, the standard ones that you can have in Power BI, you can basically take it to the next level with Power Automate and build like custom, what I call custom data-driven alerts. It will allow you, for example, to send approval workflows, and you can even send text messages with some of the connectors that you have here. You can export and email reports and paginated reports. You can save it to specific locations like SharePoint. You can schedule the refresh of your data sets, schedule the refresh of your data flows, and so on. So we are going to talk again a little bit about Power Automate, but more in the end. So now we are going to the demo part. I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview. Okay, let me go to my report. Okay, so this is my report. As I mentioned from the slides, this is very similar to the example I just showed you in the slides. So today I'm going to use a very simple business use case. So imagine you're like a car seller. There's a small one. You have like a small shop. You have only 13 cars. And you decided to build a report to check the prices of your cars, and if you should like change, you want to make decisions like, I want to change the price of my car because it's been here in my shop forever or something like that, or it doesn't really go with the other models that I have in my shop. This one is really expensive for the type of car that I'm trying to sell, and stuff like that. Imagine this is the use case. So it's like I said, a very simple table data set. You have just a few details about each one of the cars, like the brand, the year, the mileage, and so on, and the price, of course. So again, our use case here is as the car dealership owner, I want to be able to edit the price, for example, I don't know, of this car here. But again, with Power BI, you can't really do that. This is direct query, so it might take some time. I should have done this before. So you can't really do that just with what you have here or the capabilities that Power BI offers you. So that's why PowerApps comes into place here. So there is a new visual here, the PowerApps visual for Power BI. So this is where you start your integration. This is as simple as just clicking on this Power App visual here, and it will add your app. And now what I have to do is, let me just do something, because sometimes my direct query, oh, okay, now it's working, just to make sure if it was working, okay. So back to our app, we have our visual here. And as you can see here, it gives you some tips on what you should be doing now. So what it says here, if you go to the steps, it says select the fields from your data set that you would like to use in your app. And this part here is very important, because here is where you need to add the fields that, again, I'm going to repeat what the Power App Visual just said, but you're going to drag and drop the fields that you want to use in your app, and you will see that this will change like right away to something else. But the secret here is when you click on Create New, this will open a link, and that link, when you click on it, it will open Power Apps. But the thing is, if I just had, for example, the image and the model, if I just had these two fields here, when I create my app, if I for some reason want to add the price to my app somewhere, it won't show up. The only two fields that I'm going to see is image and model. For that reason, I'm going to add all of them, because I want to be able to use each one of them in my app. So I'm going to add all of them. And I'm just going to do something really fast here, I hope. Well, where is it? I need to change the environments. Okay, so you probably don't need to do this, don't worry. So once you add your fields here, you click that, you then click on Create New, and you wait a few seconds, and this pop-up window will show. And it's saying, okay, I want to navigate to a different page, and I'm saying, okay, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. That's exactly what I want. So we are going to navigate to that link, and like I said, it will open Power Apps for you. And as you can see here, let me just, okay, as you can see here, there are some things already showing up. If we have a look, okay, we can see the brand, I think. It is the brand. And just to explain a little bit what's happening here in Power Apps. So this, again, is, if you are familiar with Power BI, it will be pretty much the same. The navigation is pretty much not the same, but very similar. So this is your screens here and the different components you have in your screen. If you want to add a new screen, for example, you go here and can just select one of the default ones. You can always start from blank, but I'm very lazy. I always start with a form or a list most of the times. So this is where you have your screens. You will see that we will have more screens as we build our app. And here is your canvas, your app. So each one of these rows is one item. This means it's one car. So, and you can see here that because this is a gallery, if I try to move this, everything will move by default too. So this means that I can just drag everything and just put my text wherever I want, and everything will adapt. All the other items will adapt, or all the other rows will adapt to whatever I selected for the first one. Just going to make it look a bit nicer. It's important to select the gallery, otherwise you select the item. So that's why I selected the gallery. And I'm going to add just a label here. And it's as simple as this. And I'm just going to say this is my Auto Trader app. Very simple so far. And I'm just going to, for example, change the theme. That is in home. You can actually change the theme like this, as you can see. I'm going to make it like bluish, like we have in our report. Okay, I will leave it like that. I will just easily change the background here. And again, just for you to see that whenever you click in any of these components, you will have like different properties here that you can change. So in this case here, it's really simple for you to go here and check, okay, this is my color. I will assume this is the background. So let me change the background to something else. maybe this dark one, probably too dark, but we can always change the font color too to something like this. So this is our app, and I'm going to add a new add more information here. I have the brand, but imagine I also want the model. So I'm going to copy paste. I literally just copy pasted this text. And now you remember when I told you you had to select, when you are in Power BI, you had to select every field that you want to use in your app. This is a reason. So when you click here, or when you try to search for anything, for example, now I want a model, as you can see here, the model shows up. And that's because I basically passed that field when I was in Power BI desktop. So if I click here, you will see that everything will change automatically to reflect this. And how is this actually working, you might be asking? Good question. So as you can see here, there is this little component here called Power BI integration. And this is like the component that will help you a lot with your interactivity and integration between your Power App and your reports. Without this, that integration doesn't really work. So this is really, really important. And also, if you go here, you can see that this integration is now being used to retrieve my items. So this is retrieving the items based on whatever I have selected then in Power BI Desktop, thanks to this integration component here. So let me just add a few more things here. Okay. And imagine I want the price. And the good thing here is it's like DAX. Basically, you can mix and match like text and the functions. So as you can see, I just added the little pound symbol, the currency symbol, so that I can have it here. Probably should be in the beginning, not in the end, but let's leave it like that for now. And imagine now that you wanted an image of the car, and that's something that we have available because from our reports, I know, and from our data, I know that is somewhere there a column that will have the URL of the car that I have in my shop. So how do I do that? So you go to Insert, you go to Media, and if you add an image here, because you added it in this item here, the first item, it will be again replicated through all the other items. So if you do something like this, and then you just need to say what will this image or this visual show. So you can go to use the same function as before, this one, and choose the image. So as you can see here, the image just magically shows up right away. And here is the list of my cars that I have in my shop. So this is just let's call it the gallery screen. But now this doesn't really help me for what I want to do yet. I want to be able to change the price, or in this case, let's just change the price. And here, as you can see, if I go here, it doesn't really do anything yet. You see the list of the cars, but nothing that probably Power BI wouldn't be able to do even better than the app. So there is something missing here. What's missing? It's our edit form. We need to be able to edit whatever value or whatever row we select here. So I'm going to, again, be very lazy and select a predefined screen, a form screen. This is like an edit form. And it's simple as that. It creates like a bunch of components automatically for you. Let's call this the edit screen. But right now it's asking me to connect to data because we didn't actually connect it to any data source yet. And I didn't mention this, but my data source is actually Azure SQL DB. And my connection in Power BI is done through direct query. So here I want to connect to that same Azure SQL database. And why? Why don't I use just the Power BI integration? Because the idea here is we want to be able to write back to our database. So when we edit here the price, we want this to write back to the database. So we actually need to connect to that database before we are able to do that. So if we click on connect to data, and we are going to add data, you can see like all the different connectors you have available here. I'm going to use the SQL Server one, which is somewhere in here. Yes, this one. And I have a bunch of stuff here, but I know I'm going to use my used cars database. You probably, if you're connecting to your database the first time, it will show a different window. This connection is I already made this connection before. That's why it was more simple than usual probably. So I know my table that I'm using is AutoTrader 2. So I'm going to connect now. And let's wait a little bit. And now we are connected. And now it still doesn't show, or it still didn't change. It still tells me connect to data, but I just connected to my data source. So what is it complaining about? So it's because you actually need to define the data source here in the properties of your form. And as you can see here, it already recognizes that I've connected to that data source successfully. So I'm going to connect to this data source. And now you can see it changed a little bit. It's telling me add fields. So if you click here or either there, it will bring you this tab here where you can add the fields, any field that you have in your original database. So I'm going to click on add field, and imagine I want a brand, I want car number, I want the price, of course, that's what I want to edit. I want the model, I want the image because it will look nice. And maybe the year, why not? So as you can see here, very easy, everything showed up automatically. That is still a problem though. We have all of these fields here now, but actually I want to change, I want the image, for example, to be first. So you can just literally drag and drop like this. And as you can see, the image came to top. And also, like I said, I don't want people to be able to change everything. I just want them to be able to change the price. So first I'm going to bring the price to the end. Maybe the car number here in first, brand model here. Okay, it looks nice. But now, like I said, I don't want people to be able to change anything else besides the price. So I can go here, and you see the control type is edit text. You can change it to view rich text. So right now people will only be able to see whatever your app comes up with. And I can do the same thing for the other ones. View rich text. Same thing for the brands. And the model. The year. Should have chosen, not as many fields maybe. And we are going to leave the price because, again, that's the only field we want people to be able to edit. So now, again, when you do this, nothing really happens. So what's happening here? If you go here, you can see now that we have, again, our two screens. But the truth is they are not really connected now. Like this screen has no idea where it should be getting the image from, the car number from, the brand from, and so on, because everything should be coming from this Power BI integration here. And right now this screen doesn't know it, just doesn't know where to get the data from. So what we are going to do here is we are going to pass the context of whatever we have selected here. For example, if we select this row here, if we click here, it will open our edit screen with the information related to this car here. If we open this one, it will open the information related to this one here, and so on. So to do this, we need to change which items or the items property of your form. So if you go here, there is a property called item. And in this case, what we are going to do is we are going to say we want to look up in our database, which is AutoTrader 2, we want to look up the car number, and we want it to the car number to be the same as whatever we have selected in our gallery screen. So let me just, I think it's gallery 1, I think. Let's assume it is and hope it is. And we want whatever is selected. Okay. We want whatever is selected in our gallery, in our previous screen. And you can see it changed everything automatically. It's already doing whatever it's supposed to be doing. So we are going to look up in our database the car that was previously selected in our gallery screen. So, and as you can see here, it's already working. It's already showing me something. We are going to make this look a little bit nicer. Maybe the image. We are going to make this one bigger. Okay. And maybe I want the image itself. I don't want the URL. So you can always select this data card here and add an image instead. Unlock and add. Okay, and then you can just delete this part here. And now it's just using the same function as we used before. And it's the image, if I'm not wrong. And there we go. We have our car here. Looks a lot nicer with the image. Oops. And make it a bit bigger. So we are going to change again just the title of our app. And so we now have a gallery screen. We have an edit screen that we will use to edit the price of the car. And I'm going to add like a success screen because it always looks nice. Like whenever someone submits this form, I want to be able to see a message, for example. Okay, so this is just a success, I'll call it, success screen. Okay, let me just finish this one and it's the last screen. And this is it. So this is my success screen. And now what we need to do is we need to basically tie everything together. But do we have any questions so far then? Okay.
Hey Mara, yes we do. We have a few questions here from Christian. And folks, before we engage on that, remember, if you're a subscriber watching right now in real time, you can enter your questions in the live chat window. If you are watching this video as a recording, you can enter your question in the comment section. We will follow up. So back here on the live chat right now, we have a question from Christian. Mara, as far as I remember, there were some problems with Power BI integration component, and you had to publish first the report to the service and only then do the link. Has it been resolved by any chance?
As you probably noticed here, I probably answered the question just by doing this demo already, because I didn't publish my report. My report is still here, and I managed to still have the Power BI integration components here. So you don't really need to publish it to have this. One thing that I find useful is for you to have that integration, you need to go. I think it's easier for you to go from Power BI to PowerApps. If you create your Power App and then try to come up with that integration, it will be a lot harder. So if you go from here to like I did here in the demo, if you go from Power BI and add your PowerApps visual and then go from here, it's like almost 100% sure this Power BI integration, very important component, will show here. But I can show you when I publish my report, or when I actually save this app, how it will show in my reports. And I didn't publish that report yet, so.
All right, yeah, it can be also because, questions are being asked potentially before you have covered that. And thank you, Christian, for
Okay.
that question. There's a couple more here, real quick. We have: can you use SharePoint list as a source and then write back to it, or an Excel file in OneDrive?
Not sure about the Excel file. Let me check. Actually, I never know the connectors by
But
heart.
can you write? Can you write back to it? Use
That
this.
it depends on apparently you can. There is the connector. So I know from SharePoint list you can definitely write back to SharePoint list. You can connect to your SharePoint list, and actually it's a lot easier than usually using SQL Server. So SharePoint list, yes, and it will make your life very easy. So definitely yes. Excel, apparently you can. I didn't know. I never used Excel, so I was not sure. But apparently you can write back to Excel at least. So
All right, all right. You are an exception there with the Excel part. And how about OneDrive? Have you tried that?
I'm not sure. It really. Let me check again. I'm not sure about that, to be honest, because like I said,
That's cool.
okay.
Yeah,
Supported, okay. OneDrive for business, SharePoint sites, or Office 365 groups. It's amazing how this answers the question for me.
all right. And
Yeah, so
so,
you can.
yep, there we go. Now, another few questions here is: how do you handle refresh after write back? And is it related to refresh schedule for an import connection?
Okay, that's a harder one. Like I mentioned before, uh, I'm using direct query and I'm using it on purpose. If you don't know, there are like three ways you can connect to your data sources. You can import, like that. I'm not sure who asked, but like the person who has mentioned, forgot his name, so I'm so sorry.
Christian.
Chris, you said Chris?
Christian.
Christia. Okay. So as you mentioned, Christy, you can use imports, you can use direct query or live connection. I'm not even going to talk about live connection because it's for specific use cases and Power BI datasets and so on. And here in this example, like I said, I'm using direct query on purpose just because I want that not refresh, but I want my data to be updated like in real time whenever I submit this. And I'm going to do that in like 2 minutes probably. But I'm going to show you how you can actually refresh automatically whenever you select here or press the submit button in 2 minutes. But that's possible with direct query. If it's import, then you would probably need to add a flow with Power Automate, which I'm going to talk later. That will allow you to basically trigger a data set refresh automatically, because Power BI by itself, it won't do it alone. So yeah, for direct query, problem solved. For import, you would probably need to do some tricks with Power Automate, but it is possible.
And now, final question here is: can you use Flow to start a refresh at the time of the update?
Yes, you can. I think there is a connector that says when a row is updated. When we get to Power Automate, if you remember, if you remind me of this question, I can show you, because I'm pretty sure there is a connector there that will be basically, it's a trigger that will trigger the flow if a row is updated. Not sure for SQL Server, to be honest, but I will answer probably. I will have a better answer probably when we get to the Power Automate part.
Cool. Yeah, we'll check it out. Also, so now we have Fernando Calero. He liked your trick to use a success screen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a observation of from Christian itself, saying SQL Server Connector is a premium connector, but SharePoint and Excel are integrated in the Office 365 license. And one here from Sheb who said that OneDrive and Google Drive can be source locations.
OneDrive can for sure. Google Drive, I think I didn't see that here, to be honest. Let me check again. And I don't think so. It's just Microsoft's base, yeah, Excel, I would say. OneDrive, SharePoint, I don't think you can, yeah, use it with Google Drive.
Awesome. Hey, just would like to take a minute here, folks. Remind you to please subscribe. Also, drop a comment below. Really helps with the algorithm, and like the video. And now it's all back to you there. Mara, go.
Okay, thank you. So our success screen, again, you can have a better, you can have like a better success screen than this one, probably. Like, we're just making this a little bit bigger. You know how it goes. It doesn't look that nice now, but okay, let's leave it like that. And now, like I said before, we just need to tie everything up, because if I test my app here, nothing is really happening. Same thing with my screen here, nothing is happening. So we still need to define the actions that we want in our app. So, and this is really, really easy. So here, I'm just going to select this button here, and I'm going to change the onSelect property. So I'm going to say, I don't want to, I'm not even sure what this is doing. It's doing nothing right now. So I want to navigate to my edit screen. So whenever I click in one of these little arrows here, it will navigate, it will take me to the edit screen. So if I show you how this looks like, if I go here now, as you can see, it doesn't work yet, but it shows me, it navigates to the right screen. So now, because this is really annoying, I'm going to change this one. I'm going to say, whenever I click here, I want to navigate back to my gallery screen. Oops. Always forget to, yeah. And one thing here about the refresh, how do I actually refresh the data? Just to say that whenever you click on submit here on the button, this will write back to the database. It's like automatically will write back to your database like in the same second. But it won't refresh your Power BI reports, even though it's in direct query mode. So it's getting almost real-time data. So that is a little trick for you to do here. So you can say whenever I submit or I click here, I want to submit my form back to the database, which is fine. But I also want to refresh my reports. And you don't even need Power Automate for that, because we have this Power BI integration component here. That is this little function called Power BI integration.refresh. And that's all I need. And what this function does is it basically will refresh the visuals. And you probably are asking yourselves, like, what visuals, really? So it's not refreshing the data, it's not refreshing anything. But because direct query, every time you refresh a visual or select a slice or whatever, you will be querying back to your database. Actually, when you refresh the visuals, it will bring you the new value, because again, refreshing the visuals is basically querying back our data, or querying back to our database again. So this will work pretty well for what we want to do. Really simple and works really well. And also, I want finally to navigate to my success screen. And here I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I could go here and say, okay, I want, whenever I click on this button, I want to submit my form, I want to refresh my reports, and I want to navigate somewhere else. But I'm going to show you a different property. In this case, one of the form properties, which is on success. So here you're going to say, okay, if this form is successfully submitted, what happens? So that's where I say I want to navigate to my success screen, only if it's successful. So I'm making sure that that screen doesn't show up if this app doesn't work, basically. And finally, to my success screen, I'm just going to add a button here just to go back to my gallery. Because I don't want to be stuck here in the success screen forever, and this is like an easy trick. So you can just add a button, be lazy like me, and add a button and navigate back to our gallery screen. So now we have everything tied up together. So let's test our app. We are not still going to edit the price because I want to do that later. Let's just test the navigation. So if we test the navigation, okay, let's select this car. It's thinking, okay, change the price, perfect. It navigated back. Let's see what's happening with this car here. And it's working. And I'm going to submit the same price just for you to see the success screen, just to make sure that the app is actually working. And apparently it is working. And everything looks like it's working, which is amazing. So I'm going to save my app. I'm going to save it, and I'm just going to name it Auto Trader app. I hope I don't have one with the same name. Okay, and when I save it, if I go back to Power BI desktop now, while it's saving, you will see that something, you saw that? Something automatic. I didn't do anything. This did everything by itself. When I clicked on save, this actually updated the visual to get my app. So it won't show your app unless you saved it. So because I saved it now, I can actually see it here. So this is my app. It looks like it's working. We should test the navigation again, and it looks like it's working. And now let's test the integration. Okay, let's hope everything works. And it does. So as you can see, it's filtering what it's supposed to be filtering. So if I want to just see the Ford cars, and it's showing me just the Ford cars. So as you can see here, I didn't have to publish the report to check this. Although if you want to change, if you want to change the price here in Power BI desktop, if you do this and change the price here, it won't be reflected automatically. That's the only difference. To see this changing automatically, you really need to publish the app. That's what we are going to do now. I'm just going to publish my app. Yes, I want to save the changes. And I'm going to put this in my workspace. As you can see, it didn't even set to replace anything because, again, this report is the first time I'm publishing it, at least with this name, which counts as a new report, even though I have two that are very similar to this one, but they have different names. So it still counts as a new report. And now if we go back to the Power BI service, let me just refresh the page. Okay. And it's this one. Sorry, I have this two here just to make sure if everything went. I have one report that actually was working, but I think everything is working. So let's open our report. Okay, very good. Everything looks like it's working here too. So now I'm going to check again my integrations. Everything is working. And now imagine for some reason that I want to check the price of this car. It looks very expensive to me. I don't know. It's been in my shop forever again, and I want to change the price. So let's put this like very low, like 10. I really want to sell this car for some reason. So now, hopefully this will work. When I submit this, you can see like it changed. It came right back down. I can just let me do this for another car now. Let's put this one, the cheapest one. I think they are both, that's why I think there are two bubbles in the same, yeah. Okay, let's choose this one. And for some reason, I think this car is really valuable. I think it should be a lot more expensive. It looks really nice, like black and red stripes. So when I submit this, you can see like the bubble, I didn't have to click on anything. It refreshed automatically. You could see like this little circles going around. This is like the Power BI integration.refresh. This is what it's doing. It's basically refreshing the visuals, which again in direct query, it's the same as going back to the database and getting the data, the new data in. So this is how you can very easily integrate a Power App in your report. And I'm very glad everything works. It's not normal. Usually something breaks. Or because I missed a step usually. So now that we have our app, imagine that for some reason you wanted someone to approve this price change request before it's actually written back to the database, because right now, I mean, we are a small like car shop, but imagine we were really big, and even being small, but imagine we were really big and you couldn't simply just go here and change the price of the car, and imagine 50 people had access to this report, they would all like go here and change it, or I don't know, something like that. You didn't want that to happen. You don't want like this to be automatically like written back to your database. You want some kind of approval workflow in the middle. So this is where you can integrate Power Automate in your app so that it can generate an approval workflow. So the data that you're inputting here, in this case, the price, it doesn't get written back to the database automatically. It's only written back when someone approves it. So how do we actually do that? So good question. Let me just change my report a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to add a new button. I'm going to leave this one here so you can see the difference. I'm going to add a new button here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to submit request. This one will be different, so let's give it a proper name. So again, this button will write back to the database automatically. This one will send an approval request before it actually writes back whatever value you inputted here in your app. So what we need now is this tab here called Action. And there you go, we have Power Automate here. So we can use Power Automate to build this workflow automation. So in this case here, I'm going to create a new flow, and it will open Power Automate for me. So as I mentioned before, if you go to templates, if you don't know how to use Power Automate, it's really, really easy. You don't need to code or anything. It's like PowerApps. It's really easy too. You don't need to code a lot. But here I find Power Automate even easier than PowerApps and Power BI. You really just have here all the templates. What I usually do is I just use the templates and delete the steps I don't need and add new steps. It's really, really easy. If you want to explore all the capabilities, please go to templates and play with it a bit. It will improve your life a lot if you start doing these automations. So that's my advice to you. Just try the templates. There are some really cool templates here. And there was a question around SQL Server that I remember, or about refreshing the data only when something changes. I didn't forget that one. I'll get there. So in this case here, I'm going to create a new flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose an instant flow. This basically means that this flow will be triggered when something in the background happens. It's kind of confusing with this one, because it's here says it's triggered by a designated event. Here it's triggered manually as needed, which is kind of confusing to me sometimes. But this one is the one you should be using for PowerApps specifically. And as this is the trigger you will be using. So let's put our auto trader flow. Let's give it a name. And then I'm going to say, what is my trigger? And my trigger here is going to be PowerApps. So when I click on something in PowerApps, I want to trigger this workflow. And this is all I have now, one step. So this is how Power Automate works. You keep adding steps with the actions you want to take now based on whatever triggered your flow. And when I add new steps, you will see that this step here says literally nothing. And it's really, really confusing if you're looking at this for the first time. Even if you use Power Automate, it was confusing for me too. But you don't need to worry about this step. Just can leave it as it is for now. And one thing that we will do is we will add a new step. So we now keep adding steps to build our approval workflow. So to build this approval workflow, the first thing I need is, imagine I want to send an email asking for someone to approve or reject this price change request. But before that, I need to know what's the new price, what's the old price, a few characteristics of the car if you want to send in an email. But the problem is the old price is not coming directly from our app at the moment. So I'm going to get my role from SQL Server to get the data I need from my original database. And as you can see here, there are loads of different connectors. It's like endless connectors. Not get rows, it's get row, singular. So now I'm just going to do this, just select my server, sorry, and it shows up here already, the database name. I did this too fast because you usually don't have to do this. I have to because I have loads of different things here, so I always have to select mine. Okay, I'm going to choose my table name, which is AutoTrader, and now we are going to have to define which row are we getting back from our data source. So the thing is, we don't know. What's going to tell us which row are we trying to get is our app, because this is the row we want to get for this car, in this case 3443. So how do we get that? Exactly, being lazy and asking what's the value for the car number in our app. So I'm going to ask in PowerApps, and this will generate a variable automatically for me with a very strange name. And this sounds very, very weird the way this works, but it actually works pretty well. So don't worry too much about how this is working. It works in the end. So now that I have my row ID, the row that I want, and I'm going to retrieve the correct row, I want to send an email. So you can just search here, and I'm going to choose send an email with options, which basically will kind of generate that approval email for me. So if I use, this one, I'm going to add, you can add any subject you want. And one thing to notice here is, as you can see here, we are getting all of this content from this previous step. So when you're adding steps, you will get this dynamic content available in the next one. So here, because I got the row from my database, I will be able to retrieve anything corresponding to that row in my database, which is really cool and really useful. But here, the options, this is the options that the user will have to choose. So I'm going to just say I want them to approve or reject. That's the only two options I need. You can have a header, you can have a body. Let's have the body. This is where we need, for example, the, I don't know, car ID. Or you can just say, please review this request. And then you can just say car ID. And then you can get the car ID from here somewhere, car number. And this is really, really smart. You don't really need to worry about anything else. It will get the right row. Don't worry. You can have the brand, which is somewhere in here, and the model, and so on and so on. And I'm just going to get for the old price that's coming from our database, because it's still not updated yet. We are not going to submit the form through PowerApps. We are going to submit the form basically through this flow. So the old price is going to be the price that we have in our database, which should be here somewhere. And the new price is the one that is coming from our app. So what we have to do again, we have to do the same thing as we did here. We need to ask to our app, what's the price that was inputted? So you need to basically call this content again, just ask in PowerApps. And again, it will generate very random, not that random, but a bit weird, the name of the variable. And then, okay, let me just close this. So we're sending the email, and now I'm going to add a new step, because this is the condition, and this is going to be what's going to define if we are going to write back our value to our database or not. So here, if I go to, it's here. So you can define a condition. That's exactly what we are going to do. So what are we going to do now? We are going to say, for whatever the user selected in the first step. So if he selected approve or reject, this is like whatever the selection. If this selection is equal to approve, then it does something. It writes back to our database. So we are going to add a new step here. If this is true, we want to update the role from our database. Okay, let me just search for SQL Server update role. It's here. So I have to do the same thing again. Just going to select the server name. It's exactly the same as we did in the first step of the SQL Server connection. Okay. And the row ID, we can get the row ID from here, from the variable that we defined before. We could also use the card number, but I'm going to use this one. And now the only thing I need is the new price. The price that I don't remember the name of the variable. Let me go up again. Again, very strange name. This is the new price that I asked in PowerApps. This is the name. Send email. Okay, so I want to update the price, and I want now the new price to be whatever it's coming from my app. And for the sake of a complete business process, you can add a new action saying send an email to the requester, for example, and you can type your request was approved, and then say something about your request here, like the old price and the new price that was approved, something like that. You could do the same thing for the if no. You could also send an email saying, I'm sorry, your request was not really approved. So this is how you would build your flow. I've built a flow that looks exactly the same as this one that I'm going to use. Okay, it just has a different name, but it's exactly the same. Let me go back to my app. Now that we added our flow, imagine we finished our flow. So my auto trader approval flow shows here, and you can just select this one, and it adds. I hope it's this one. Maybe it's this one. Let me check. Yes, it is. I chose the wrong one. I think it's which one? Auto trader flow. I think it's the other one. Let's try to add the other one. Sorry. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Let me just check my notes, because I'm not sure the name I gave to the flow actually. No, I was wrong. Okay, the previous flow was the correct one. Sorry. It's the auto trader approval flow. Sorry, I was correct all along. So this is the flow that I want to add. Again, ignore this confusion. It's exactly the same flow as this one. So now you can see here that the variables that I just asked here in my flow, they like those strange names, they show up here, like the get row something, send email something. If you remember, the get row, this one was about the car number, which is this that we want to pass to our flow. And this was a new price. So this is what we want to pass to our flow as a second variable. So the first variable is, I'm going to close this and leave it like this for now. The first variable is my car number. So my card number is here. It's the data card. You should actually name all the cars, data cards and stuff correctly. So so you don't have this problem. So this is data card value 8. So this is my first, the card value 8. This is my first variable, again, the card number. And then my second variable is, let me just check this one, data card value 3, which is the price. Is it not 3? The card value 3, okay. So this is what we have to do to basically just pass these variables to our flow. Again, when we submit here this request or this form, other words, so I don't confuse you. When you click here, you're not actually submitting the form. If you click here, you see you're submitting this form, so you're writing back to your database. When you click here on this new button, as you can see, you're not submitting this form. So nothing is going to get written to the database, at least not from the app. So it will only get written if someone approves it, if it goes to the if yes branch, and then it updates the row only after someone approves it. So again, to see this changes reflected in my report, in the app I have in my report, I will just save it again and publish this version. Okay, and now if we wait a little bit, I hope this, let's refresh and see if our app updated, if it is updated. Okay. So here is our app. Let's see if it is updated. It is. I can see my button here. So imagine I want to make this car, instead of 7, I want to make it 8 or 80. Why not? Let's go wild. Okay, so you remember if I clicked here, it would automatically update everything in my report. It would write back to the database, refresh the visuals, get my data back in like 1 second. But let's see what happens when I click in submit request now. Actually, it doesn't do anything because, again, remember, it doesn't show the success screen because if you remember, I set it up to show only if the form was submitted successfully. And because we are not submitting the form, that screen is not opening. Just a little explanation about what's going on here. And so I'm going to show you now the email I just got. This is the email I just got just now. So this is the email that I just got and saying, okay, someone requested this price to change for this car. This is like the old price. Of course, this could look a lot better. We've like more formatted. So do you want to reject it or approve it? So let's approve it for now. I'm going to approve. Okay, I approved it. So now if I go back here, and because again, this won't refresh automatically, you actually need to refresh it through here. And hopefully this car is now changed to a new price. Where is the car? I forgot. It's this one? No. Okay. Let's change this one, as I'm not sure where the car actually went. Did I go? No. Okay. Let's change another car. Sorry. Let's change this one to a really ridiculous price. Let's put it 3 just to see the little bubble coming. Okay, and I just noticed I misspelled submit. So let's again approve our request, which is here. And it's just making sure it's the iGo. Let's see if it's the same one. Yeah, 2017 Toyota. Yeah, okay. sounds extreme, the price, but I'm going to approve it anyway. So now, let's hope this works. Oh, okay, now it worked. I don't know where the other bubble went. So now you can see that the price is changed. As you can see, it's like 300 something. So the price actually changed, and I just received another email saying this: hi, your request for price change for the card number, blah, 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 has been approved. And some details, and of course, this could be a lot like better, like formatting wise. So you could make your email look a lot better. So this is my approval workflow. And so I think this then comes to an end, my presentation, I think. I managed to cover everything I wanted, so which is really good. So yeah, I'm not sure if you have, if we have more questions. Okay.
Hello folks, please remember to enter your questions in the live chat window if you are subscribing and watching here live. Now, if you are not watching live, if you're watching the recording, just write down the comment section and we'll follow up on it. Now, there is a question that we had from before.
Okay.
It was, I'm looking for it. It was about the, 2 seconds. Can a variable in Power Automate be renamed so that if you have many, you can work easier?
Excellent question. I have no idea. That's my honest answer. I never actually tried it, to be honest, because I never needed to use more than 2 or 3, so I always managed to work with whatever names they gave me here. I'm not really sure, to be honest, if you can change it or not. Not directly, at least. As you can see here, you can't really change it here. I'm not sure if you probably see the code or something. Maybe you can actually change something, but not in a, at least not in a straightforward way. I would say you can't. Maybe being a bit creative, you will get there.
Yeah, there's also the previous question or question that was posed earlier you may have answered, but it is, can you use Flow to start a refresh at the time of the update?
Oh, okay, that was, oh, okay, that one. Okay, let's go back. I'm just going to try. I think it's easier if I just build a new flow, which is automated. I think so. Let's. Okay, it depends what it's did they mention if there's SQL Server or SharePoint? I'm not sure. It was SQL Server, I think. Yes, and okay, assuming it is SQL Server, I'm pretty sure for SharePoint you can do that because I've done it before. Every time someone, for example, adds a folder to a SharePoint site, you can trigger a data refresh by doing like after the change in the folder, and you can apparently do this with SQL Server too, because you have the triggers here. You can trigger a data refresh when an item is created in SQL Server or when an item is modified. I can try to do this one when it's modified, for example, and when you add a new step. You can go to refresh data sets. Yes, it's here. So you can basically create an action to refresh the data set. Then you just need to select the workspace and the data set you want to refresh. And again, you can do this with SQL, SharePoint, at least those two for sure now. I didn't know you could do it for SQL. I was 80% sure, not 100. So yeah, the answer is yes, you can.
All right. So a couple notes. One is out to Sheila and the others that were asking about. Yes, this recording will be available. And just keep the same address. We will be there may be a couple edits, but yes, we'll be available right here on this channel. And I ask again, folks, remember, drop a comment under the video as well, please. Really important to help us with the YouTube algorithm, as well as your question. And remember to subscribe. So we do have a couple other questions here. And if you're
Okay.
watching now real time, use the live chat to drop your question, to enter your questions here. Take advantage that Mara is right here, right now with us. Which brings to the next question from Gina, which is what account is making the update for the SQL Server update? The account in the Power BI data set?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think is, when you're back there in the Power BI and then you make an update to, for example, the price, when it sends back in the SQL Server, which account's being used for that SQL update in SQL Server? Does it make sense?
I think so. I'll
Okay.
try to answer based on what I think it is.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
Gina. I think that's what you mean. Like you're back there. If you go back to Power BI, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see here, let's say you select a car there, and now
Yeah.
you made the little car, yeah, become like 320,000, and you say submit. So when you do that update and you send
Yeah.
it back on SQL Server, what account is being used to update back to SQL Server? As that update is sent back to the SQL Server, which account's being
Yeah.
used there?
It's because the write back capability, let's put it this way, it's done here, not in the Power App. It's using whatever account of the person. I would say, I think I'm not saying anything very wrong. It will use the account of whoever created this flow, because you will need access to the SQL Server instance to be able to see it here, for example. Otherwise, you won't even see it. So you will need access from the account you're using to create your flow.
Yes, I hope that clarifies that, Gina. And there is somebody just told me a question that I missed it. I think there is a question here from this is great for when we are updating a single value at a time, but what about when we need to update a whole grid of numbers? Is there any such option in PowerApps?
Yes, there is. I've actually done that, I don't know, 1 month ago for one of our customers. So you need to be a little bit, do a little bit of tricks, some tricks to make that work. But you can actually collect multiple entries at once. There is a function called collect, if I'm not wrong, that you can use and basically create, I think I'm not getting the function wrong, I'm pretty sure it's collect. And that function basically will save like a virtual table that you can later use to write back to somewhere else. So you can do like multiple rows at one time.
All right, and I think I addressed it here, Fernando, as you pointed out, the question about the question from Learn Data Sites, the question above. Now, folks, remember, any more questions? Take this opportunity. You're watching live, use the live chat. If you're not, if you're watching the recording, enter your questions in the comment section below. And also, if you're watching live, folks, remember, drop us also comments in the comment section if you like the video there, as apparently you did. And I also like to thank everybody currently attending and watching us live very much for pardon me, for all the exchange that is going on here in the live chat. Questions, also some questions being answered, and I see a lot of people who know the other member as well, and engaging also the presenter and enjoying the presentation. Now let me take a final look here if there's any more questions. All right, nope. Let's change back to the camera. I don't see any more question now, Mara.
Okay.
All right, let me change to. All right, so we are back here, and folks, I would like to thank everyone for making the time to be here, especially for Mara to be here with us, sharing the knowledge, this really awesome session. I'm confident that everybody learned a lot, and if you have not done so, check the video description below and you will see Mara's blog, Data Pairs. Follow her on Twitter, LinkedIn. You see some really awesome postings there, some great information, and the cheat sheet. That was magical there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take a quick look here. We have some more comments. We have a lot of thanking. Thank you to you, Mara, for the great presentation. Julie said, you make it look so easy. Thank you, Mara. And yeah, thank you all, yes. And so moving forward here as well. So I would like to remind you, and you will be seeing this probably today, next presentation. Mark your calendar, will be Tuesday, May 18th, right here on this channel. We'll be doing it at 6 p.m. And at 6 p.m. And it's so ironic how things are, because today's post from Mara is about storytelling, which is very cool, by the way. Thank you very much. Very cool post. I like it. And she was talking about storytelling with bar chart. If you haven't seen it, again, check her on Twitter, check her on LinkedIn, and her information is just down here on the video description. You can see all her links. So she's talking about storytelling with tables. And tell me a little bit about it, Mara.
It's not actually, it's bar charts, not table.
Sorry, bar chart.
Bar charts, yeah.
Bar charts.
Yeah, it's something I've done during the weekend, because the weekend before, during the Easter weekend, I bought some books to read during that weekend, because we are on lockdown still. Not so much now, but at the time we were on lockdown still. And I bought a book about data storytelling, and I just loved it. And I was like, I have to post something about this. And that's where it came from. So just a recommendation for all of you guys and girls. If you want to, if you watch that, if you see that post, if you read that post and you liked it, there is like a recommendation in the end of the post with the book that I read to come up with that post, which is really, really good. So I highly recommend you, if you want to build beautiful reports in Power BI, that's the book you should read.
Thank you very much. See, folks, bring you even more knowledge here. Thank you very much, Mara. Really appreciate it. So, folks, stay tuned. What we'll be doing next, one of our next presentations will be on Power BI storytelling. So just stay tuned. Mark your calendar right now. Tuesday, May 18th. Now let me just do a last check here for any questions. All right, folks, I don't see any more questions. With that, we are going to bid you adieu. Like to thank everyone again to making the time to be here, learning great information presented by Mara, who is, as you all can see, fantastic presenter, bringing a very useful solution here that you can put in practice right away. If you are doing a project or you want to bring it up, review this video and you're going to be able to put it all together and bring a solution. So, all right, folks. Thank you all very much. Have a great day and look forward to see you all soon on our next presentation. One of them will be on May 18th, so mark your calendar. And thank you, Mara. Okay,
Thank
folks.
you, Adriano, for having me.
Hey, just hang on 1 second, Mara, and you all, folks.
Okay.
Take care. Have a great day out there.
Bye, everyone.